Good morning, and thank you for joining us. You have joined us for our final in our Building a Digital Enterprise series. This morning, our presenters are Kevin Modlin and Brian Primock. Just a few notes before we begin with today's presentation. We are recording today's presentation, and we will be posting that to our website later this week, and we will be sending out a follow-up email with those links for you. If you should have any questions during the entire session, please feel free to utilize the Q&A or chat boxes, and we will answer those questions at the end of the session. And with that, I would like to hand it over to Brian Primock.
Appreciate it. Good morning to everyone that's joined us for our latest Learn in 30 webinar. Today's topic is about applying cloud-based and machine learning tools to your asset management program with AVEVA's APM portfolio. I'm Brian Primock, I'm Director of Business Development, and I'm joined by my colleague Kevin Modlin, Director of Architected Solutions here at InSource. Welcome to the webinar this week, Kevin. It's great to have you on board.
Thanks so much.
Well, good. I know that sometimes we get clients that have known us for years, and other times we have people that are new and first time. So in that spirit, I'm going to take a minute and just share with you who we are. In a nutshell, InSource, I'd say, is a company that exists to help our clients engineer their own digital transformations, and that's why we exist. I like to share with people that I'm extremely proud that we're a 100% employee-owned company, and the way we work really comes down to 4 unifying principles. Our employees care about each other and our clients and our industry. We're looking to build a company that's designed to stand the test of time by selflessly serving our clients. We seek to contribute to the broader U.S. manufacturing community, and our true vision is to help industrial companies be more productive and profitable. That's why we exist. And ultimately, we try to call that helping to revitalize manufacturing in America. And to that end, our big audacious goal is to deliver and measure over $1 billion in transformational results and savings for our clients through these types of initiatives, and we're well on our way to doing that. And finally, we're an AVEVA Select partner, one of only 8 in North America. And while we're a huge fans of the 4.0 technology that AVEVA and Wonderware is a part of that bring to the table, our secret sauce is that we help companies truly integrate those technologies into their processes and routines, and help them support them for the long haul. In our 23 years, and I think you can relate to this, we've seen companies invest in large technology initiatives only to be disappointed with the results. We've learned from this, and we've adapted to that problem, and we now offer a range of services, both technical all the way through consulting, to ensure maximum adoption of the investment that you make in these types of solutions. We call it the InSource way, and time again, we've seen it unlock the maximum untapped potential in industrial plants and employees. So if this is your first time, well, I have a little sad news to report. This is our final webinar in a 5-part series. We called it Building the Digital Enterprise. And really, over the past couple of weeks, what we've done here is we've provided an overview of all the tools in the AVEVA portfolio that can be used to create a digital enterprise, different areas that these tools work in and how they work. The good news is that we've archived them all, and so they're all available on demand. So if you've missed any, just go to our website, insource.solutions. Up in the top menu, you'll see resources, and then we have a library of all our recorded webinars. They're available anytime you want them. So as I always do when I start talking about AVEVA, if you'd advance, Kevin. The real key idea I like to share with them about AVEVA and the portfolio that really started with the merger with Schneider Electric back in 2018, and what I think really makes them unique is really the capability of their full portfolio. The team that has taken over and run AVEVA and all the different products that are in the portfolio has really been focused on launching and integrating tools to help customers optimize their asset and operations lifecycle. So what we mean by that is that companies are really looking to win what we call the digital enterprise game. And if to do so, broadly speaking, they've got to win in one or both of these two dimensions. The first dimension we call the asset life cycle. It's on the horizontal axis. It's really the process from which a plant or a company, inclusive of all its assets, such as its machines or pumps or pieces of equipment, is designed. And then in the middle, it's operated or visualized. And then finally, on the right-hand side, the way it's maintained to ensure maximum return on that asset investment. And then the vertical axis, we call it the operations life cycle. So this is really everything that is produced as a product from these assets. This is all about starting with planning and scheduling, actually securing the value chain for all the raw goods and raw materials that they're going to use, scheduling production, excuse me, then executing that production on the plant floor, which is, again, visualization tools that help them monitor operation, track production, maximize total output while complying with all the quality parameters that they promise their customers. So to be successful, really, companies are looking for ways to maximize profitability across both of these life cycles. In today's segment, Kevin's really going to take us through that horizontal asset life cycle curve. He's going to walk us through many of the tools in the new cloud-based APM portfolio from AVEVA and show you how we've used these tools to help clients achieve significant improvements in this realm. So Kevin, let me hand the mic over to you and have you get started here.
Thanks, Brian, and thanks to everyone who's able to join us out there on the interwebs today. I want to apologize for the 5 minutes of silence that from the beginning of this webinar. Before we got started, I asked Katie to sing, but she declined, so you guys had to sit and listen to the silence. So for that, I apologize. But I want to kick off my part of the presentation with a question, but let me take a minute to set that up first. So many industrial customers capture massive amounts of data into process historians. Even if you're only capturing 20 value changes per second, you end up with 630 million values per year. Lots of our customers have a significantly higher volume of data than that. The question is, how do you get value out of a mountain of data like that? Well, if you're like a lot of the folks we deal with, you really only use this for ad hoc analysis, and even that is only done by a small subset, probably of your engineering staff. So the question is the true value of those millions of records locked away in your process historian? I don't know, but I think for many of our customers it is. So what I'm going to guide you through is consider some ways that you might unlock the latent value of that process data using AVEVA Insight. So in case you don't know, I first want to back up and talk about what Insight is. We call Insight a doing platform for operations and asset management. The platform allows you to collect shop floor and business data, to visualize that data using process graphics or geo-referenced on a map. It allows you to alert on critical conditions that are recognized in the data. It allows you to optimize using concepts like OEE and accurately tracked machine states, including downtime. And finally, since this is a cloud platform, you can share what you design and learn with anyone who has internet access. The focus of today's webinar is really going to be the very last point you see on the slide here, scalable analytics. But what do we mean by scalable analytics? So that's the question I'm going to try to answer in the remainder of this webinar. So we're going to dive into 4 of the capabilities that can help you get real value out of the kind of data that you've probably been pushing into your process historian for the last probably decade or more. So bear in mind, these are not all of the capabilities of the Insight platform. This is just the analytical capabilities that are sort of in the asset performance management realm. So I want to level set on the terms here, starting from the bottom of these series of circles and moving up. And then we're going to look more closely at each of these individually after this. But the first circle we see is labeled condition-based rules. So this isn't really artificial intelligence, so maybe we're cheating a little bit here. But as the name implies, this provides the capacity to predefine triggers for known events and workflows. It requires no programming, and the end user just sort of sets it up and forgets it. Whatever action you prescribe will be taken when that rule gets tripped. Next up the ladder is what we call automated analytics. We also refer to this as unsupervised machine learning, since the system analyzes the streaming tag data in an attempt to identify what normal looks like. And once it's seen a few weeks worth of data, the system can begin to recognize abnormalities in a single tag or in pairs of tags. So it's really a zero configuration capability that I like to call automagic. Above that is what we call guided analytics. Here, the user configures groups of tags which likely have some correlation, and then identifies a period of known good operation to train the system to understand what normal really looks like. So instead of automated learning, this is sort of guided learning. This capability is really targeted at understanding potential asset problems. And then at the peak is advanced analytics, or what we sometimes refer to as predictive analytics. This is a highly sophisticated analysis tool with rigorous multidimensional modeling and is generally targeted at your most critical assets. So think of this as being at the pinnacle of a comprehensive maintenance and reliability strategy. Models are developed by specialists, but trained end users eventually take over that model development and training. So let's dive one layer deeper into each of these four capabilities. First up is condition-based rules. To explain this, I'll take you through the process of setting up a rule, and then we'll look at an example output. One of InSight's core capabilities is that it's really a cloud historian. So here we start from a trend with four process parameters. In the upper right corner, you see a bell symbol which allows you to add an alert which will define the condition we're looking for. After you select a specific location on the chart, you're presented with a wizard that steps you through the creation of the condition logic. In the first step, you define the tag values. It's important to know that you can have any number of tags that contribute to this condition, and those conditions can have standard logic operands like equal to, greater than, less than, etc. And you can define this to be an AND condition, meaning that all of the tag conditions have to evaluate to true, or an OR condition where the alert will occur when only one of those expressions is true. In the next step, you define what actions to take when an alert occurs. Often this is just an email, but you can trigger other kinds of actions like the initiation of a safety permit, the creation of a work order, the recording of a statistic. So some enterprise asset management use statistics to trigger preventive maintenance items. Finally, you see a summary of what this condition is going to be. Click Finish, and the configuration is complete. So here I've brought up an example of the kind of email generated by a similar alert. So notice that this has the tags that contributed to this, the consequences of failure if those have been defined, and prescriptive actions, again, if those have been defined. It also has a hyperlink that takes you directly back to the web interface to that alert and the related chart data in InSight. So I hope you can see how this might be a powerful addition to your asset management strategy, and it's really easy to set up since it's cloud-based and really zero configuration. Above that is what I call automated analytics. Remember that this capability requires no action on your part. No training of models, no identification of correlated tags, nothing. Just push data to the cloud and this starts happening automatically. To demonstrate this capability, I'm going to navigate to the city of Honolulu and look at some of the data that we're gathering from Honolulu. It's not a process, but it'll work just fine as an example. When the asset dashboard loads, in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see a section called News. Let's click through a few of the items here to see what information they provide. The first one indicated that the barometric pressure was lower than usual. As we click through a few more, we see that humidity is higher than usual. Here's one coming up that indicates that the temperature is flatlined. So that might be an indicator of a sensor failure. Notice also that there are thumbs up and thumbs down icons. These allow you to identify items that are more or less interesting to you, and that information tunes the future alerts you'll see. There's also a down chevron that exposes more details. For instance, here we see that values in green are in the expected or normal range, while the items in red are outside that range. The icon I just clicked allows you to open all of the news in a scrollable list. I did that, though, because I want to open the filter panel to show you which kinds of patterns the system can recognize. So those are a value that's higher or lower than normal, a tag that is flatlined, values that are more or less variable than normal, high or low cycle time, or tags that relate differently. This can happen when, for instance, tags that normally move in the same direction for some reason begin to move in opposite directions. So in my mind, automated analytics is a really powerful feature of the Insight platform, and I hope you can see how it could surface valuable information that you don't readily notice in the mountain of data being collected by your existing historian. Higher up on the AI machine learning scale is guided analytics. With guided analytics, you do some light training to identify which tags are correlated and to provide historical information that trains the model about normal operation. To see what this looks like, let's build a guided analytics model together. To get started, click on the Asset Actions button in the upper right and then select Add Guided Analytics Model. Again, a wizard is going to step us through the process. The first step is to identify the relevant tags for this model. You don't need to be a subject matter expert or a data scientist, but you do need to have some understanding of the asset and which tags might be good candidates. This process is simpler if you're using the asset model to connect tags to specific assets, but that's not required. In this case, I'll select inboard bearing temperature, current, winding temperature, outboard bearing temperature, and outboard vibration in the X and Y direction. I think these are the tags that are probably correlated for my model. Then I click Add, and finally, Next. Now I have to give the model a name and select a training window. This is the historical information that you use to tell the model what normal operation looks like. You get the choice of last 3 months, last month, last week, or you can define a custom time frame. For these purposes, I'll just select last 3 months. Now I can optionally select a filter which will be used to indicate whether or not the machine is running. This allows you to turn this model off when the asset's not in operation. So here I'll select amps less than 25. Now click Next after this to see a summary of what this model is. And then that's really all there is to it. We click Save and that model is complete. So anomalies that get surfaced by this model are displayed in the news feed. So the news feed is the area where we saw the automated analytics earlier, but the news feed will also surface the findings that the guided analytics model provides. And again, this is more sophisticated than automated analytics, but it doesn't require any special skills to build or use. Sort of at the pinnacle of the AI and machine learning scale for Insight is what we call advanced analytics. It was previously known as PRISM. And it's really designed to answer the question, what's the problem in this data set? Or what's the problem in a data set that has double that number of tags? So as humans, we're not really good at finding subtle differences, but that's what machine learning is really, really good at. And so that's what advanced analytics provides for us. So this tool does require some specialized skill. Typically, the initial models are developed and set up by AVEVA, but after training, most customers pick up their own administration, managing those models and creating new ones on their own. So building and deploying a model is really a three-step process. The first step is to import some training data. So that data can come from your existing historian. It can come from Insight itself. It can come from generic SQL table, from files, or from a number of other sources. The next step is to create what are called operational profiles, which allow the model to be tuned for different operating conditions. These might be related to the product or ambient conditions, process loading, or any others. Finally, the model is deployed, and the deployed model consumes real-time data to identify anomalies that are occurring in the process in real time. So to give you a quick glimpse into the tool, we'll step through a basic data import from a file and then take a look at some of the output presentation of that data. Here we'll choose a file to contain the training data. This is a CSV with data from 13 different tags or operating parameters. So we give this a second to load. And once it's finished, on the left-hand side, you can click on any of the tag names in that panel to see a trend of what came back as the training data. As you see here, this data doesn't look perfect, and that's normal. But as you might expect, we provide tools to help you cleanse that data to make the model as accurate as possible. So in the interest of time, I won't step through the cleansing process or any of the rest of the import, but let's switch gears and take a look at what the outputs of the model look like. So here's the alarm output page from the web interface. This is a place where your users might live, and it gives a snapshot view of items with their relative level of severity. Let's drill into one model representing one piece of equipment, a positive displacement pump that has a severe warning. The trend line at the top that we see now represents what we call the overall model residual, or OMR, which is the sum of the difference between the expected and actual values for all of the tags in the model. Higher OMR values represent a higher likelihood that there's a problem. We can scroll down and see a trend line for each tag in the model. In this view, the green line represents the expected value predicted by the model, and the black line represents the actual values. These predictions are really at the core and what represents the power of this tool. The system can make predictions for all of the tags in the model and compare that to what's actually happening in real time. So again, divergence represents a potential issue. What you see here, the orange bars in this bar chart represent something called signal contribution. The concept here is how much of the total deviation is attributable to each of the signals or tags, and helps the user determine which should be the critical areas of focus. There are also prescriptive and diagnostic capabilities embedded here using a common failure mode analysis feature. What you see here are the three most likely things that would cause this deviation. For the positive displacement pump in this example, the top three are binding rotating element, increased liquid velocity, or over-tightened packing. If I click on any one of these faults, the system will prescribe some potential next step action. So that's a powerful part of the built-in analytics here, is that the system will recognize failures, identify what the likely causes are, and prescribe action. So we're just sort of skimmed the surface of this tool, but the summary is that it can take dozens or hundreds of signals about a current asset, the kinds of things that you're probably already feeding into your process historian, and identify anomalies, pinpoint the likely causes, and recommend next steps. I hope you can see how valuable this might be for the critical assets that your process depends on. But since this is a cloud-based tool, and now that we've dived into a few of the capabilities, you might be asking yourself about the reliability and security of these services. So I want to put your mind at ease for those things. The system includes an on-premise store and forward capability to protect you against local internet outages. Your data is encrypted in motion to assure that nobody can intercept that between the endpoints. Your data is also encrypted at rest to assure that only you have access to that valuable information. And the entire system is subject to an SLA uptime commitment from AVEVA. So I wanted to interject a little bit of relevant news that just hit the presses. So literally yesterday, AVEVA and Microsoft announced an extension of their existing partnership focused on cloud and AI technologies. I predict that we're going to see some pretty impactful new capabilities coming out of this partnership very quickly. But let me return to the topic at hand and summarize. So item one, Insight is a cloud platform, which means rapid deployment, zero overhead, and highly secure data. Insight includes scalable AI capabilities ranging from untrained and automagic, to use that term, to sophisticated and tailored. And third, these capabilities can augment your current asset strategy to add powerful analytical capabilities. And as a bonus, Insight always has the option for a free 45-day online trial. I'd caution you to make sure that you're set before you press the button and start that trial, and you understand what data you're going to feed up there and what you want to get out of it. But anyway, it's available to you. Reach out to us if you got questions about that. Well, that really includes the content I wanted to share with you today. We've got some time for questions. So, Katie, I don't know if we had any, but fire away if you have questions.
Yeah, we have a couple that have come in so far. Just a reminder, utilize the Q&A or chat box for any questions that you do have, and we'll be happy to answer them here. Our first question is, which of the analytics capabilities are included with the platform and which are add-ons?
Oh, that's a good question. Let me go backwards and show, let me see if I can annotate here. So these capabilities are sort of, let's do air quotes here, free. They come along with the product at no additional cost. And then guided and advanced analytics are add-ons that do come with a fee. So that's a good question, and that's the answer to that one.
Great. The next one is, can you describe in a little more detail how process data gets from the shop floor to the cloud?
Absolutely. So there are a few mechanisms for this. Well, I don't know if one's more common than another or not, but if you have an existing AVEVA historian, it's literally just a couple of checkboxes to turn on the replication capability that will push the data to the cloud. So if you've got an existing historian, in 5 minutes after you've got your cloud tenancy set up, you can start pushing data to the cloud. If you don't have an AVEVA historian, there's a small software tool called a publisher, which you can connect directly to an OPC data source or an OI server from AVEVA. So you can go get data directly from your PLCs or any OPC source and publish that data to the cloud. And the publisher, as I mentioned earlier in the presentation, does have its own built-in store and forward capability. So that's the two most common ways to get there. Insight does have an API, so you can push data there that way, and there are a couple of other ways too.
All right, great. That looks to be all the questions we have at the moment, so if you want to continue on.
So I'm going to toss it back to Brian. Brian, tell us about what's coming up next week.
I'm here. I was actually hoping you'd let me sing for the last 5 minutes, Kevin, but I guess that's not the case.
Well, I will if you want to.
Well, that would scare everybody away, and I don't want to do that because what I wanted to share is that if you've gotten value from this, then I would highly suggest that you take a look at our digital event. We're just calling it the digital event. It is kind of the capstone for this series. It will be going live on November 18th. It's about a 4-hour event from 10 a.m. to about 2 p.m. in the afternoon. And it's really exciting. What we're doing here is we have kind of two keynote speakers. Anirban Basu, who is in our, lives in Maryland, works out of Maryland. He's really regarded as a significant economics mind in the industry, and he's talking about manufacturing productivity, especially with an eye towards the post-pandemic world. And then our very own president and CEO, Ann Kroom, is going to be talking about the power of connection and manufacturing transformation in general from her lengthy perspective, running and sharing InSource solutions. And then we've got 4 different clients, and each one will be a breakout session where we're going to talk about their challenge. We're going to talk about how they tackled that challenge, the tools they brought to the table, and then we're going to have a Q&A panel with each one of these clients to talk about from their own perspective what they saw, what they experienced, and the outcomes that they achieved. So this is really cool. I've seen some of it's all coming together right now. We've been talking to these clients. They're excited to share their story. I think you will be as well. And like I said, you can go to our website right now, InSource.solutions, and you will see this banner. It'll pop up. Just click on it, and a simple free registration to join, and I hope you'll consider doing that. And that will do it. Again, I thank you for all those that have watched all 5 episodes. I hope it brings value. My team and everyone here at InSource is more than ready to continue to answer questions after the webinar series, and also just to meet with you one-on-one to really discuss if any or all of these potential solutions we've talked about could help you on your journey. Thanks again for your time. Have a great day, and we'll look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you, everybody, for attending, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everybody. See ya.
Thanks, everyone. Goodbye.